Hello and welcome! Today I'm going to do an art challenge video, which is quite specifically an art style challenge video, which is me trying to replicate different types of styles to the best of my abilities. Let's get started! To start off, I chose Adventure Time because it is quite an interesting art style. They don't have any bones and they don't overcomplicate the faces. In fact, all their faces are the same. However, that's not the main part of the art style. The main part of the art style is to convince a sort of flow in their animation style, which is quite different to say the least. I do not have that sort of art style, so to do this was quite challenging. Next up we have Sailor Moon. Sailor Moon is quite interesting art style, to say the least. It has a very distinct 80s, 90s aesthetic towards it. It didn't age that well. Most people kind of make fun of the art style nowadays. It's quite a bit shonen, to be honest, but it has its own charm, to be honest. The line placement is very specific. They don't try to use too many lines as it would hinder the animation ability. However, they do have some annotations towards where the flow is, so I don't really think I managed to grasp it fully, but tried to at least interpret the design fully enough to somewhat imitate it, I suppose. Another issue was the color, because we see it through an old 90s television, and obviously not all the colors are going to show through, so I had to think about, should I go with what we see, or what it was intended for? In the end, I went for the former. And here we have Gibley's art style. Now, Gibley's art style has this very odd middle ground between anime and sort of realism. Like, their eyes, of course, are very anime-esque, but they have normal eye pupils, or somewhat normal eye pupils, and they have a very realistic nose type. So to replicate Gibley's art style, and with all the smooth corners and whatnot, it's like the exact opposite of everything I do, so it's quite challenging, quite, well, odd in some ways, to say the least. Now we have Kyoto Animation's work, and, well, I'm just drawing the still picture. These things actually move, and how they do it is beyond me. All the art style is so pretty, it's like a photograph, sort of, and the way they make it move, because it's not stiff animation, it's gorgeous animation. I'm bewildered, quite frankly. I couldn't quite get the eyes right. They have a very stylized, eyes, and I have no idea how to get the right layers and right blending to make that seem even remotely correct. Nevertheless, I tried, and the most interesting part, I feel, was the shading style, because they have a very muted dark tone that isn't a multiply. To say it's not directly the darker shade of that color. Now, lastly, we have Helltaker's design. Now, Helltaker's art style is something I quite like, because they use line weight, quite frankly, which is the thickness of the lines. And animation styles don't have thick lines, because they have to draw those over and over again, and to replicate the thick lines would take ages, because it would change. So it's just easier to use thin lines over and over again. So to use the line weight again, quite a relief, I must say, and it was quite a blast as well. I drew this twice, not because but because I did not record the other one, so that was the thumbnail of this video. I used that again because I thought it was a shame not to. And now we're at the end of the video. I would tell everybody that the Eclipse Studio Paint time-lapse feature, although very useful, should not be used in speed paint videos, because you don't get to change the length, and I thought that each picture would be like a minute long. They're 15 seconds, and I had to find my own way to stretch them out. But otherwise, I must say it was quite fun doing this art challenge video. I got to get familiarize myself with a lot of different things. A lot of different areas that I most certainly wouldn't have gone on my own, but I thought this was helpful, most certainly, and I would recommend other people to do this, because art improvement, although it happens randomly, studying other types of arts does help improving, so yeah. And I think that's about it. Don't forget to wash yourself and take the vaccine and don't do anything stupid.